As we welcome you inside our studio on this Saturday morning, and we hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. Thank you for sharing your Saturday and your weekends with us, of course. We are very grateful for all of you. Robbie Mustoe, Robbie Earle, Rebecca Lowe with you all weekend. And we looked there at Liverpool's position, sitting in 12th place. And Robbie, that's where I want to start with you. They lost last weekend to Nottingham Forest. They then went and lost to PSV by 4-1 at home. Yeah, another home defeat.
Both of those games at home.
Both of those games at home. Yeah. How does Arne Slot fix this ahead of tomorrow's match at West Ham?
Well, I mean, fix a broken team, because it is broken right now. You can argue there's been a perfect storm of situations, of expensive signings that haven't settled, between new fullbacks, between a team that's getting over a tragedy of loss of one of their own. Defensively, I always look first, Rebecca, and 7 goals at home in the last 2 against Forest and PSV. I mean, what is going on? Everybody's culpable. It's not just the fullbacks, or it's not just Konate and Van Dijk. It's the midfield protection that was particularly poor. I think we talked about it on our podcast against Nottingham Forest. You got the Mo Salah factor, not helping defensively. They've conceded way too many goals. Now, I know Arne Slot's thing mostly is football and playing and calmness and control. You might have to be a bit more pragmatic, Rebecca, and find some clean sheets, for goodness sake. This is crazy, the amount of goals they're conceding. Well, you might have to drop Mo Salah. You might have to put somebody like a Chiesa that's nowhere near as good going forward, Rebecca, but he'll fill back, he'll work hard, he'll help on the outside flank areas. Gakpo. And he's also just got to shake him up a little bit. Like, this is crazy. They've lost 9 of the last 12 in all competitions. I mean, it just shows you football is mental. It's crazy because of what they spent, what they came from. I would say that the incredible pressure on the manager, Arne Slot, I'm like, whoa, like, hang on a minute. Let's not forget what he did with a team that was faltering under Jurgen Klopp. Did great work at that point to get them to be champions. So let's just call the Jets a little bit. But this is incredible scenes.
We'll get on to Slot in just a minute. When you look at that back line, Ibrahima Konate has lost form, as we've discussed, and Virgil van Dijk has as well. But is part of this problem that at the back, it's not like they can make many changes. They didn't get Mark Guéhi when they wanted him in the summer, so there isn't anybody really to come in.
Joe Gomez, doesn't seem he can ever be fit or be reliable. As Mussy says, Bex, we're in crisis mode. And when you're in crisis mode, I think you need to hit the reset button. Something big has to change. Something dramatic has to happen in that dressing room that shakes things up. Like dropping Mo Salah.
So you're both thinking...
Non-competitive, not scoring goals. We know brilliant past history and what he's done. Right now, he's not contributing to the team. Play somebody else in that position. I'm not saying drop your captain, but Virgil van Dijk has been the barometer of everything that's been good for Liverpool over the last few years. His focus, his individual play, his ability to get others to do the job has not been there. He needs to kind of come again. And you've got to do 1 or 2 things that really shake things up, that the rest of the players go, wow. And then you get their attention, and then you can start to build from there. The problem with Liverpool right now, Bex, is they're a nice team who are easy to play. They've conceded 10 goals in the last 3 games, Manchester City, Forest and PSV. That's way too many for a team that's going to be successful. Arne Slot's got the time, I think, till we get to Christmas in the New Year. If by that time we're not looking like European football, top 4 is gone and we're struggling maybe to get a European place, something will happen in this football club.
But does he have that amount of time if the form continues like this?
I think his credit in the bank of what he's done, of a few of the situations, the Jota situation, the players coming in, the Isak not settling, some will say it's his fault. I think we'll give him the time. Having spent that money, I think he'll get to around the Christmas, New Year.
Show us you're a good manager. Show us you can do what the club employed you at the beginning of it. A lot of people wanted to go into that football club. They picked Arne Slot, did an amazing job. Please give him the time to fix this. You know, and all the focus always goes on the manager, Rob, but the players as well. Got to look at themselves in the mirror, all of them. Absolutely every single player has to look at themselves. Maybe Dominic Szoboszlai, who looks outstanding because he's doing the same job. The others have taken the foot off the gas, much more chilled in their performances, a little bit more casual. And we always say it's a fine line between winning a lot and losing a lot. And we know what side they're on there right now.
Just finally, Rob, cheeky question, but if they did run out of patience, people are talking about Jurgen Klopp until the end of the season. Just reporting what I'm reading.
Well, what, it's just
as an interim till the end of the season, steady the ship, Klopp's back. Thoughts?
With Stevie G as his assistant.
With Steven Gerrard as his assistant. I mean, they've done it before. They've done... So Kenny Dalglish came in to steady the ship. The emotional
Not the most craziest thing, almost, but not the most craziest thing I've ever...
Very romantic,
just a definite temporary few months. I mean, he's going to motivate everybody, and to be fair, that's what the team needs right now.
It is officially their worst run of form for some 71 years. And Dorsey, you've watched their last couple of games with us, midweek... Soccer Special, PSV, and of course a week ago you were watching them, that defeat to your old team, Nottingham Forest, at Anfield. Are they now as a team broken?
Completely. And I think Arne Slot has to strip everything back and get back to basics and try and get the best out of these players. And I'm not talking about quality. We know there's quality in there. I'm talking about running harder than the opposition, tackling harder than the opposition, putting everything on the line to keep the ball out the back of the net. I watched them a week ago against Nottingham Forest, and for the first 30 minutes, they were brilliant. They thought this is the Liverpool that I expect to be seeing. Then in the blink of an eye, a goal goes in for Nottingham Forest. Murillo scores it. Another set piece, being so poor. Virgil gets the first contact, it falls. And from that moment, they just never responded. And that, for me, is a team that is short of confidence, it's short of belief. And you just see them, they are down on their knees. And it was exactly the same in midweek against PSV. And we're talking about a team going to Anfield in the Champions League and getting beat 4-1, humiliated. And it was like that last week. You know, they're always in the game, but defensively they're just so easy to play against. And they conceded goal in midweek against PSV after 7 minutes. And I'm thinking, wow, I sat before and I thought they'd get back to winning ways. But what happened if they went behind? And that happened. And they responded really, really well. For 40 minutes of that first half, they got the goal, got back into it, and very good. And at half-time, I thought there was only going to be one winner. I really, really did. I couldn't see PSV coming out and having a response to what Liverpool had shown. How wrong was I? I could not believe that performance in the second half from some of those Liverpool players. They lied down, they give up, and that is unacceptable for a Liverpool team to get beat 4-1 at home in the Champions League against a PSV. And that is why they are broke. And I think he has to make changes. He has to go back to basics, bring Robertson in, bring Joe Gomez, who's been injured, take Kirkes out, take Canati out the firing line and the heat, and just try and bring a little bit of belief back.
And Tim, Jamie Carragher has had his say this week, and he's been pretty strong on Arne Slot. He says, in his opinion, he has 1 week to save his job. You look at the games he got: West Ham away tomorrow, then Sunderland at home, and then Leeds United away. You look at last season, comes in, takes over from Klopp, wins the Premier League at the first time of asking, and then over the course of this summer, he's had to navigate himself and the squad through the loss of Diogo Jota. We haven't reached that stage already, have we, where he's got a week to save his job? Surely not.
No. On the back of what he done last season, I think we're absolutely not there. But I agree with Jamie. If we hadn't won last season and they lose the next 3 games, no one can survive as a Liverpool manager. But he's got a history of winning. Done brilliant last year. They won it at a canter. There's something not right. It's an accumulation of things, I believe. It's a new players, integrating them in. It's obviously the Jota factor. I think it's the main factor. I really do. I think they've all got to get together now. They really have to get their heads together. And the body language is really, really poor. So when they're conceding goals, I see a lot of the players, when you look around and see them throwing their arms up in the air and blaming each other, they cannot do that. The whole world is looking at them at the moment. It is disastrous, their form. But they're capable of turning it around. But they have to all get together. The manager, the coaching staff, all of the players, all of the academy, the whole... Every one of the staff at their training ground needs to be together on a siege mentality of everyone's against us. We need to turn this around. That's the only thing we can possibly do. I think they're capable of doing it. I really do. I think this year's a mulligan for him. I think they give him a free pass for this year. If they don't finish in the Champions League spot, I think by the beginning of next season he has to start flawlessly, otherwise he will get sacked.
But if they reach a point this season where we're just finishing inside the top 4 and the Champions League place with all the finances come with it as well, and they're just a club that you expect to be in the Champions League, does that then become a decision point for the owners in terms of his future?
I think they will finish in the Champions League, but you're saying if they don't finish in the Champions League, I think it's
if it starts to look impossible this season, if they drift away that much.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll get there. I really don't. I think it has been poor. I can't steer away from that. It has been very poor. I think he needs to, like I say, he will not. No one will be trying harder than that man to try and put it right. He won't be able to catch his breath. He will go home at night. He won't be able to sleep. You know, he will live it, and he'll know that his team are underachieving, and it's his job to make them perform. Now, I think we have to also look at him and thinking, how hard did he take the Jota news? It's all right for everyone to look at the manager and say, Gaffer, lead us, and that is his job. Of course it is, but I think emotionally he might be broke as well from the loss of Jota. I think a lot of the players will be. I think when you look at the likes of Virgil and Salah, the experienced players, and Robertson. I mean, Robertson, one of the biggest moments personally for him was qualifying for the World Cup, Scotland. But the first thing on his mind was Diego Jota.
Yeah.
You know, so it is at the forefront of their mind. So I don't think we can underestimate the impact what that has had on the group of players.
So, Bordy, where are you on this? If he gets to the end of these next 3 games and they've been way off it, they've continued this poor run of form, where for you does that leave Arne Slot?
I think if you lose the next 3 games to West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds, then there's going to be left with no choice, because you're then facing Inter Milan in a Champions League, and then you're facing Brighton in the league, who we know can cause teams problems as well. So I think for Arne Slot, and we keep hearing about a manager or a head coach, how does he deal with it? He's never had to deal with this in his career, because his career since he started coaches had just went up and up and up and up. Now all of a sudden they're facing a period where, I mean, this is the first time in his career he's faced adversity. In terms of the results, he will be looking for help as well. It's easy. I think you know, the more experience you get and the older you become, you'll have periods where you lose games and you then understand how to deal with it. This is the first time he's ever faced it. You know, when you look at AZ Alkmaar, then he went to Feyenoord, he's came to Liverpool, and I mean, everybody keeps saying it was Jurgen Klopp's team. Well, if it was Jurgen Klopp's team, why did he not win the league with you? Arne Slot deserves enormous credit for what he achieved last year. I mean, that was Liverpool's 2nd league title in 35 years. Don't underestimate how big achievement that was. Are they maybe ahead of schedule because of what they've done last year, and now you're looking at it, they've dropped off? The new players haven't helped. There's no getting away from it. They haven't helped. I think they've added players in positions that they didn't really need. You know, the Luis Diaz factor and the shift that he put in that left-hand side last year. We speak about the vulnerability in the Liverpool full-back area right now, and the 2 centre-backs being exploited. What a shift. Maybe not so much Mo Salah, but on that left-hand side, Luis Diaz was the protection he gave Andy Robertson. Kerkaz has come in. I don't think Kerkaz has had that this year. The amount of money it was paid for Isak, Wirtz, they're struggling. They are struggling. Maybe it was too many players at the one time. I don't think any has sat here in the summer and said that the players coming into Liverpool were bad players, but they are struggling right now.
But the players who have been there a long time.
Another thing is as well, Tim, when you look at it, usually when you're in a dressing room and you're bringing players into a dressing room, when you're bringing new ones in, you're looking saying, right, okay, can we go again? They've struggled, so the ones that are already in it are maybe looking saying, they're not as good as what. And then, to what you're saying, they're looking saying, can they help the new players to settle? But the Diego Jota, everything that's, you know, the players that were already there might be going through as well. So, listen, it's an accumulation of absolutely everything that is leading to this run for Liverpool. But as Michael touched on there as well, when you're going on about a coach, and the coach will be the one who'll be at the brunt of it, but he can't make people run harder. I mean, what do you do as a coach? Like you said, the first period of time that they came out, they were out the blocks, they were firing, they were in their faces, and then they stopped doing that the second time. That's not on the coach. No. There's no way at half time you're going to and Arne Slot's turning around and saying, listen, job's done, don't run about.
And that's where you talk about confidence, Boydie. That confidence goes out.
You don't need confidence to run about.
Exactly. And when people are running past you and you're switching off for a second and these kind of things, that goal where if it goes down the left-hand side past Mo Salah, that is so basic. Yeah. That's just like, someone else will deal with it. He goes past him and then he gets inside Kerkez's individual errors, they're getting punished.
And that's worth exploring more, Sue, because you look back at PSV midweek. I mean, you'd have to say Ekitike, one of the few bright spots this season, and Szoboszlai, he's been setting the standards. Yeah. But even there was a moment on Wednesday night where last season we spoke so much about that engine, his ability to get up and down for the whole game, where he just almost gives up in terms of tracking back. So unlike him, wherever you look in terms of Liverpool at the moment, there are so many problems that Arne Slot has got to find solutions for. If you were going to highlight his biggest problem right now, what might that be for you?
Wow. I think that's the problem, that it's a combination of absolutely everything. I don't think you can particularly highlight one thing. I think we've gone through the new players coming in, taking time to adapt. We've spoken about, the Jota factor and how that's affected the manager, the staff, the players. I just find the whole situation bizarre. I think we look at the start of the season where we were just thinking Liverpool were just going to continue. They were going to, push on again. They've brought in all of these new fantastic players. Yes, they've lost players, but they've brought in amazing players that are just going to add to the team. And they were going to go again. And you looked at the first 5 games, weren't at their best, but they won all 5. And you were thinking, OK, they're going to build from here. And it just didn't happen, but you could see those frailties. And I just think as the games have gone on, those frailties have got probably more so, So you've looked at certain games with Liverpool. If a team sits back, they're defensively sound, they're well organised, Liverpool have struggled to break them down. They then know that if they then hit Liverpool on the break, if they go direct with the balls, if they're, strong at set pieces, pretty much what Nottingham Forest are very good at, what PSV are very good at. They struggle, and you look, there's gaping holes in those full-back areas. So, yes, they've had injuries in both of their right-backs. Szoboszlai's had to fill in at that right-back position. He'll invert. So there's massive holes there, isn't there? And that's where teams are very much exposed. In Liverpool, Kerkez has struggled. The 2 centre-backs have struggled. Konate probably has had his
As an Everton fan, how much are you enjoying it, though?
I'm not, absolutely not. No,
I think it needs to come to a stop, and it starts with the manager. The manager has to get everyone together. New players, don't look at the old players. The old players, don't blame the new players. Whatever's gone has gone. Now we need to wipe the slate clean, and we need to show how good we are. But also, more than that, we need to show the non-negotiables, the character, the ability to drive and take this great club forward. The fan needs to help them now. I think they will. I think they're fantastic supporters at Liverpool Football Club. I believe they will turn it around. I just think they need a little bit, obviously a lot of confidence, but just one step at a time, and I think they're capable of going on a run.
Tim, we keep speaking about confidence. Confidence comes from running harder, going and close your opposition down, force them into mistakes. Like, nobody's just going to turn around and say, oh, there's Mo Salah, he's struggling right now, oh, we'll go and let him dribble past us and take us on and smash one. They need to get back to his basics, running hard on the opposition, because you see it all the time, and top players get praised for what they do with the ball. But there's one thing about them as well, they work their socks off. They work tirelessly, and that's what Liverpool done last year. Szoboszlai going to right back as well is an issue for them. Because it's not only that, it's what they miss in the middle of the pitch.
And just to pick up on things defensively, which you've talked about already, but it was a point that Carragher made in his column this week. We've seen a fair one. He charted Liverpool's drop-off in terms of standards to last season when the trophy was secured, not the moment they lifted it, but before that. And since they were confirmed that they were going to be the Premier League champions, they conceded 29 goals in the next 16 games since then, 1.8 per game. And you look at the transfer policy, you look at the fact that they chased Isak so hard, and yet Ekitiko so far has been the shining light up front. That defence needed some attention, and Margay didn't arrive. And there's been a lot of talk about Richard Hughes, the sporting director, in the last week. Everyone's saying about Slot bringing his new players, it's not worked. Well, if you believe some reports, Slot didn't want Diaz to depart. It was Richard Hughes who was pushing for that. So you wonder whether in terms of the summer they were just strengthening in the wrong areas, Dawes.
It's easy in hindsight. I think we can sit here now.
But weren't the signs already that defence needed attention?
I think we were saying, well, where's Gay going to play, weren't we?
Yeah, no.
Well, would he sit on the bench? Is he happy sitting on the bench? That's why he should stay at Palace. That's what we was all saying. And all of a sudden now, we're all geniuses because they are conceding goals, and we're saying... Well,
that's why we said in hindsight, it's easy because...
But the point Jamie Carragher's making, the signs were already there towards the end of last season.
Yeah, we have a drop-off. We would have a drop-off because you've won the league. I can see that when you go back to it, but they would not expect to be so easy to play against and give so many opportunities up. And Konate to have such a dip in form. It was remarkable. They let Kwanzaa go to Leverkusen. He's gone there and done well. Joe Gomez is injury prone, unfortunately for him. They bring Leone in. He then does his ACL. So he wasn't the answer straight away because he's still a young kid. But they would have looked at this position and go, it's going to be Konate and Virgil van Dijk. I think the Trent Alexander-Arnold one is a huge one. They haven't got a right back in the building that's fit. Bradley's injured. Frimpong probably isn't an out-and-out right back. He's more attacking.
But he's injury prone as well, so you're running that risk.
But Trent was more attacking. We said Trent can't defend, but what he'd give going forward, he put Szoboszlai there last Saturday. Midweek, they put Curtis Jones there, because like you said, Boydie, they lose that attacking option in Szoboszlai. His creativity is remarkable. So everything's easy in hindsight, and to sit here and go, we should have signed Mark Gay. They should have signed Mark Gay, non-negotiable. They should have gone out. You've spent 130 million on Isak, 70 odd million Ekitike. But you may as well have spent the 50, 60, 70 million on Gay.
For one of those.
And they wanted to,
100%.
by the way. Let's not pretend they didn't want to. They wanted to sign him.
Just left it rather late.
Yeah. So in hindsight, completely, they should have signed Mark Gay.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well, the Spain international said. Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem. The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first. When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing. Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal. Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team. As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Eze's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Eze can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Eze, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Eze's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Eze's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Eze can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Eze brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Eze will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Eze was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of the knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Eze stepped into the spotlight. Eze's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Eze out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Eze is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Eze has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Eze and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because Eze has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Eze had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace. A clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Eze is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Eze is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Eze force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Eze's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Eze and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Eze has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Eze, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.